Hey you! Welcome to Banish, the series where I try a unique disc, put it through its paces, and then tell you whether or not you should bag it or banish it into a black hole. And on today's episode, I tested out the Berg. The Berg is a somewhat controversial disc. Some people love it, some people hate it. The Berg is a 1102 putter with, it's not a track, but it's like a puddle top thumb track thingy that makes the rim deeper than a normal putter somehow. It's weird. If you've never held a Berg, it feels like it's something that doesn't want to be thrown. But the idea with this thing is that you should be able to throw it really hard, and its intention is to just fight itself out of the air and drop out of the sky. So I guess this is for people that have just a crazy high arm speed, who can't help but throw things 450 feet, and they just need something to go 150 instead. So give it a full rip and then watch this thing drop out of the air like a brick. Now this isn't like a normal bagger banish video. Normally we go over to the field, I'd throw the disc a bunch on some different angles, backhand, forehand, but honestly, it's a Berg. I think we all know how it flies. What I wanted to find out today is, do you need a Berg? Or do you just need any putter that's kinda close to the flight numbers? Obviously, we're not gonna find another 1102. Those flight numbers are very specific to the Berg, and the shape is unique. But does that really matter? This P3X is a 3203, which, for all intents and purposes, should act kinda like a Berg. It's an overstable, less glidey putter. This PX3 by Prodigy is a 3402.5. So the glide does suggest that it would go further, but I gotta tell you, I throw this thing and it kind of falls out of the air like a brick. Partially because of how overstable it is. So let's go over to the field and just see how far I can put these things.
Ooh, look at that no glide. Less glide.
Well, that was interesting. You would think that the Berg wouldn't have flown the furthest, and obviously it didn't, but it was only 4 feet off of the PX3. The one that flew the least was this P3X with the 2 glide. So do you need a Berg to drop out of the air, or can you just use any disc? I don't know. Its case is looking really flimsy. So honestly, this thing better hold up really well in the 7 holes that I played at Hollows North. So I'm really just throwing off the tee here to get into a position where it would make sense to throw the putters, because this hole is a little bit too long for that. Alright, here's the first test. I'm playing every single putter I have from the one position that the drive landed from, and I just want to get around this tight corner. Now, theoretically, all of these should be able to get into a good position, and right off the bat, the Berg is looking pretty good. I just kind of flubbed that throw with the P3X. Alright, so I went to the Berg, which was the best position, and now I'm just long putts to see kind of how these do as a regular putter. And I gotta say, I don't really like any of them as a regular putter.
I missed all my putts, but that's okay. And let's see. Ooh. Outside. Furthest away. And perfect for a tap in. They all score pretty much the same. And ultimately aren't really that different so far.
Hole 2 is where we get a good look at how these perform off the tee. I normally throw a putter on this hole. A Berg is a great play because you don't want to go so long that you end up in the woods behind the basket, but I end up hitting a tree with the Berg. Gonna throw the PX3 now, and just hope that I don't hit another tree. All I really need to do is clear this gap, and everything's golden. yet doesn't have quite enough fade, and I end up hitting a skinny tree. The P3X is my last chance. I can do this. But more correctly, I cannot do this. I fade way too early and smack a tree. So, playing out the P3X, I give it a nice little forehand toss, and it's beautiful.
It's overstable.
I shouldn't have moved the camera, but placed it perfectly.
I went a little long. And the best drive was given to the Berg.
Yeah, I say I went long, but I didn't know I didn't go that long. And then, nice little lazy little upshot with the Berg. Everything pars.
Pretty close. Looks like these are all taken threes.
Hole 3 is another one where I always throw putter. It's 160 feet, so it just makes sense. I put this a little longer than I mean to, but it's actually not that bad.
They say that Berg's supposed to have no glide, and yet I went super long in the basket.
I have no idea what depth perception means. This one I do put very long because I turned it over slightly, and that's in the bushes next to the bench of the next hole. I love it! Yeah, pretty much nailed it. I just need to make this birdie work, and I am totally within range. But of course, this putter has no glide, so...
So close.
But the Berg here... kinda nail it. That felt pretty good. Yeah. There's me behind the sign to the next tee.
I know flight numbers are talked about a lot, and in this case it's no different. Berg's supposed to be like a 1101 or something dumb, where it has no glide and just wants to stop in midair and fall out of the sky like a brick. I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think it has some air brakes on it, but I mean, you saw how the PX3 flew.
I never throw putters off this hole. I just wanted to see if I could do something with these, and I flubbed the Berg so hard it hooks on my hand, and I have no excuse except the deep rim. I never thought that a flight would happen with a putter on this hole like that. That was beautiful. And then the same thing with the PX3. Little low, but honestly, in a fine position. And I have no other choice to get out of this position I'm in but to overhand the Berg out into the open again.
Well, it's over there somewhere. A little behind the scenes. Sometimes, if something like that happens when I film these Bagger Banish videos, I actually redo the throw. I know that sounds like, oh, you're cheating. No. I want to strike a balance between me, the disc golfer, and them, the discs. And I know that if I sometimes throw the discs badly, it's just me being bad. So I'm like, okay, well, I can do that better. I rethrow it. But that Berg hooked on my finger, and I think that's a factor for the Berg, because it's like such an awkward thing to throw sometimes. So I kept that one in.
Now, let's see what I'm thinking here. Forehand, right? Yeah, that'll make sense. You idiot. That's not at all where I needed to be.
Just awkward to throw.
Yeah, it is a little awkward to throw. I'll give myself that, but also I could have done that a little bit better. And yeah, this PX3 is in a fine position. I'm just behind the Guardian trees a little bit. Tough to see the basket in this shot, but I'm basically parking it right now. And yep, par. And then look at that P3X. That was so good. A tap-in birdie. You kidding me? And I can't believe I saved a bogey with the Berg.
I cannot believe that I birdied with that P3X. Hole 7, normally throw a mid-range, but putter should do just fine.
they should do just fine. Except I did this with the Berg. Not my best moment. Yep, not great. But it's okay, I'm gonna correct here in a second, and this PX3 is going to go straight to the basket. Making me rethink my entire philosophy around this hole, which is always throw a mid-range. Now it's gonna be always throw my PX3. I turned this over a little bit too much, so much for a 3 fade. Gross. It is gross. A lot of scrambling with the Berg.
Ooh. Snuck that one in there to save a par.
Yeah, that was a miracle par. That will never happen again in a million years with that Berg.
That's okay. I'm totally fine with nice, easy pars. Par. Subsequently, I'm also okay with nice, totally easy birdies. Like this one. Hole 8 is interesting because there's this big gap to the right that you would think, perfect. But no. You want to go down this little gap, and putters are perfect for that gap.
I cannot tell you the amount of times I've nailed this gap. It's a lot. I know it doesn't look like it.
Unless you do that.
Uh-huh. Yep, not my best performance. Yep, not great either. What is happening to me right now?
I gotta tell myself that I can hit this gap.
You can hit this gap. I believe in you. Past me. You can do it. Hey, look at that. That's literally
Laced it with the inner core.
90% of the times I throw this hole, that's what I'm doing. Percentage has just been brought down a lot with those 3 drives. With the Berg, the PX3, and the P3X. That kind of saves it, though.
There we go.
Yeah, so I was deep in the woods with that PX3. Oh, hey, this looks familiar. Ugh. Ah, man, that's a little ways off to put it in for a par. Same thing with the P3X.
Oh, I left that so short. No power, no spin.
And that's my inner core, so that's a legit kind of birdie. That doesn't count for this round at all. Not really legit, because it was my 4th throw. But the Berg, I'm able to save a par, which is great. What isn't great is that I took bogeys with both the PX3 and the P3X. But you know what? Win some, lose some.
Hole 14 is the last hole on this course that makes any sense to throw putters from the tee on, and I think I can birdie this one.
Now that's really confident for someone who just flubbed 3 drives. So, can I lace it with the Berg? Apparently.
Close.
And then can I basically do the same thing with the PX3? I guess so. Couldn't see it. That almost skipped up into the basket. It had to have been like 10 feet. Max. And for whatever reason, just...
That's not bad.
It's less stable than I think it should be.
Oh.
Yeah.
So very close.
Hit the chains. Missed it. Birdie with the Berg, though. Felt pretty good. And this, oh my god, the PX3, just tap in birdie. And then we're just going to put in our par and be done.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Let's go back over to the office. I'll give some final thoughts. I think the Berg did fine today, but forehanding the Berg is awkward, and that is going to count against it. You could tell that the Berg had some air brakes to it, but ultimately it's still just a putter. It's still just a weird, bricky putter. And the the PX3, also kind of a bricky putter. So do you need the Berg? I don't know. I'm gonna have to mull it over.
Listen, if you like the Berg, that's fine. Bag what you like. But objectively, I don't think it's really that unique. Honestly, this was fine. It didn't score that well, but it was only 1 over. The Berg and the PX3 both shot even. And honestly, I had some issues forehanding this thing. The rim is deep and it hooks a lot. Versus the PX3, super easy to forehand. So when it comes to actually ranking the Berg for feel, I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't really like the way it feels. The puddle top is weird. The rim is deep. It hooks on your hands. And I don't know, just not for me. Versatility. It isn't. It's not really that versatile. It's an overstable putter. It's meant to do one thing. So for versatility, it gets a 1. And listen, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not really meant to be versatile. So versatility in this case, probably going to get weighed a bit less than the other categories. But it just isn't. It does one thing, and it does it kind of okay. Does it do the thing? Well, yeah. I mean, kind of. It flies through the air like a putter that is kind of air brakey and doesn't go super far, but it doesn't necessarily do it any better than this does. So for what it's advertised as, I give it a 4 out of 5. Because there have been times where I throw this intentionally because I don't want to go too long and I end up going long. 4 out of 5. Score. 5 out of 5. Scored fine. Shot even. Was it amazing? No. Did we play 9 holes? No, we were a little short. If we had kept playing more holes, would this have scored a little bit differently? Maybe. And also, did I have some issues with this where I had to scramble to get it back to a par? Yes. But at the end of the day, I shot even with it, so it's not terrible. So got a 5. Final score? 12 out of 20. Yeah, it's not looking good. Should you bag this disc? No. No. The Berg can be banished, and that's totally fine, because there are other options that are apparently just as good. You can do basically the same things with these, and if you have a little bit of touch control, then you don't need to spend premiums on Bergs. You can buy this D-Line P3X from Discmania. Do you bag a Berg? Do you still want to? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You do you. You do you. That's okay. You can bag a Berg. I'm not going to judge. But I'm not going to bag one. If you have a unique disc that you want me to try, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to send one to me, DM me on Instagram and we'll work something out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.